In this video, I'll explain the procedure to create the main roof on top. When you analyze this roof, you can see that there is a sloped parapet which is running throughout, and we have this portion of the roof which is extended down to protect the balcony. Then we have two gables to maintain the symmetry as well as to improve the aesthetic appeal of the roofing. Now let's take a closer look on this area. This is the wall line which when you extend will meet at this point, and this line indicates the roof line, and we have an overhang. This portion is the drop and this portion is the parapet, and over here we have an extension of 85 outward and 43 downward from this point. Then we have 110 rightward and 55 upward. And now let's see the section of this area, and this area indicates the parapet, and this is a wall line, and this is a roof slab, and this sloped parapet is running throughout. So I hope you have got an idea about the construction of this roof. So we will create this line first. To create this line, what I'll do is I'll bring my UCS origin to this point. Based on this origin point, the coordinate of this point as well as this point can be obtained. You know that based on this point, the coordinate of this point is minus 85, minus 43. Okay, in absolute coordinates. And similarly, the coordinate of this point is 110 by 55 with respect to this origin. Okay, so likewise, I'll locate these 2 points and I'll construct this line. So let's go to the 3D file. Now my UCS XY plane is aligned with the front face of this object. So you have to align the UCS XY plane to the front face if it is not aligned. How will you do it? For that, you have to go to Visualize tab and you select a front from here, from this drop down list. Then using the origin option of UCS command, just click on this origin option. You can bring the origin here. Okay, so this is your reference point. To bring the origin here, you can also try UCS command and you can give origin option. Type the letter O using the keyboard and give an enter. Okay, next I'll draw a polyline. So I'll just go to Home tab and go to Polyline command. When I'm asked to specify the start point, I'll give the start point in terms of coordinates. So I'll give minus 85, minus 43. Okay, so that point is located, and the next point is 110, 55. Okay, so you have got that point. Next, what I'll do is I'll just offset this line to show the slab thickness. So I'll click on offset command and I'll give an offset distance of 10. Then select object to offset and side to offset. Okay, it's offsetted. Next, I have to make it a closed profile. Okay, but for that you have to draw again polylines from this endpoint like this. Then using extend command, I'll extend this line to meet with this line. So I'll click on extend, and this is a boundary edge. Just give an enter, you can extend it. Then using the trim, I'll just trim off the excess portion. So I'll give trim and you can trim that off. Here also I'll construct a horizontal line to make it a closed profile. So I'll make a polyline here like this. Then I'll go to trim. Okay, select, I'll go to trim, then cutting edges, just give an enter and you can trim off this portion. Okay, now I have to make it a closed profile, so you can just go to join command. So I'll go to modify and you can choose join from here, or else you can type the letter J for join. Now it's all converted into a single profile. Next, you can draw a path along which it is to be extruded. But before you draw a path, you have to align the UCS with the base. So I'll go to Visualize tab and I'll click on the world option. Now it is taken to the base. Now I'll draw another polyline to specify the path, but it should start exactly from this point. Then I'll come all the way up till here, and I need a point corresponding to this point here. So using tracking, I can get it. Or else we can make use of point filters. Okay. Please see the video of point filters in my YouTube channel if you want to get an idea about point filters. Then I'll click this point. Then I'll come back to this and I'll close it. Right click and close. Next, I can extrude it. So I'll go to extrude. I'll select this profile. Now go to path option and select this path. Now we have made a sloped parapet. Okay, so this is how the sloped parapet will appear. Now if you closely analyze this area, you can see that the fin walls are seen through this sloping parapet. So we have to remove this portion. Okay. For that, I'll just freeze the roof layer for the time being. And I'll keep the 3D wall layer as the current layer. I'll remove a triangular portion from here. But before that, I should align the UCS on this face. And you know that this is the left face. So you can go to Visualize tab and you just go to left option of the UCS. Okay. Then I'll draw a polyline starting from somewhere from here to a nearest point. So I'll just shift right click and I'll take that tools menu. Then I'll pick this point. Then I'll come to this point and I'll give a close. Okay. Next I can extrude the small triangle. So I'll extrude and I'll select this. When I'm asked to give the height of extrusion, you can just pick a point over here. Next I'll copy this extruded object. And this is the base point. And this is the second point. Okay. Next I'll go for a subtraction. So I'll click on subtract. And from this main wall, I'll subtract this object as well as this object. Just give an enter. And hence you can remove that corner area from the wall. Next I'll call back that frozen layer of the roof. Now that fin wall is not visible through the sloped parapet which you have created. Next I have to cover this opening by creating a roof slab. So I'll go to layer panel and I'll go to layer previous to get the previous state of layer. In the previous layer state, the roof layer was frozen, or else you can again go ahead and freeze the roof layer. Next I'll trace the corner of the wall using a polyline. Okay, but before that I should align the UCS with the world. Next polyline. I'll click all the corners. And I'll give a close. Next I'll go to extrude. When I'm asked to select the profile, I can just give L. L stands for last drawn object. Height of extrusion, I can give a small value. I'll give 5. Okay, you need to just cover it. Even if the roof slab thickness is 10 centimeter, and if you give that 10 centimeter thickness, that is not going to be seen. So you can just give a small value to create a surface on top. Next you can call the roof layer back. Okay, so you have covered this top portion. And this object can be kept in a different layer. It should not be in the 3D wall layer. I'll keep it in the 3D molding layer. Okay, it's a different layer. And for that 3D molding layer, I have provided white color. Next, we will create the portion of the roof which actually covers the balcony. So let's use the elevation drawing as reference and get some dimensions from here. I have already dimensioned this entire length which actually covers the balcony, and that length is 470 centimeters. And I have marked some dimensions here. So what we will do is we will locate the center point of this distance, and from the center point we'll take half of 470, which is 235, to this side. Okay, so that we will get this point. Then based on this point, we will locate this point. And when you measure, you will get this distance as 75 and this distance as 38. So with respect to this point, I'll locate this point. Okay, then I'll construct this line. So let's start this procedure by first locating the mid of this total length. Now when you look at the 3D file, you can see that all the layers are on. Now I want to retain only the roof layer and the wall layer to work comfortably. So I'll go to layer panel and I'll go to layer isolate and I'll isolate this roof layer. So all the layers except the roof layer is turned off. Now I'll go to layer panel again and I'll turn on the wall layer. So I'll click on the 3D wall layer to turn it on. Next, I'll align the UCS with the front face. So I'll go to Visualize tab and I'll go to front. Then I'll locate a point right at the mid of this particular edge of the bottom of the roof. So I'll click on the Home tab. Then I'll go to Draw and I'll click on the multiple point option and I'll locate a point right at the mid of this. So you have a point over here, but the point is not visible because it's just a dot. So I'll go to DD P type and I'll change the display representation of point to cross. You can see a point here as a cross. Next, I'll copy this point 235 units leftward. So I'll go to copy command and I'll select this point, and this node is a base point. Then I'll keep the cursor on the leftward direction and I'll type 235. Okay, I've got a copy of it. Next, I have to locate another point based on this point at a distance of 75 unit leftward and 38 unit downward. So I'll go to copy again and I'll choose this point as the object to be copied, and this is the base point. When I'm asked to give the second point, I'll give at the rate minus 75 comma minus 38. That means based on this point is at a distance of 75 unit leftward and 38 unit downward. Since it is in the negative x direction, I gave minus for the x, and since it is in the negative y direction, that is downward direction, I gave minus for the y as well. Okay, this is called relative coordinate entry method. Next, I'll draw a line constructing these 2 points. I can construct a line or a polyline. I prefer polyline, so I'll go to polyline, and from this node, okay, I've got this node option active in my OSnap. If it is not active, all you have to do is just right click here and you can activate the node option here. Okay. Next, I'll take a copy of the same line and I'll keep it right on the plane of the wall. Okay, because actually this drop of the roof to protect the balcony starts from the plane of the wall. So I'll go to copy and I'll choose this as the object to be copied. This is the base point. When I'm asked to give the second point, I should give a point which is on the wall. Okay, that means the base point and the second point has got only a change in Z coordinate. X and Y will remain the same. You can communicate this information using point filters. Please refer my video on point filters in my channel to get a better understanding on point filter. So I'll go to shift right click, point filters, dot xy off means x and y coordinate of the same point. Okay, when I'm asked to give z, I'm asked to give z coordinate. So I'll go to point filters dot z coordinate of a point from the plane of the wall, from here or from here. Only thing is it has to be exactly from this plane, or it can be taken from here. Next, I'll offset this line. Let us go to a 2 viewport configuration to see these 2 lines in the front elevation. I'll click over here. Now I've got viewport configuration list. I'll take 2 vertical. Okay, over here, I'll select the front view. Now you can see the points clearly, but points are oversized, so you have to regenerate it. So I'll give RE for regeneration. Now we can see the points in the actual size. Now let's offset this line. Okay, since these 2 lines are merging here, this viewport is the ideal viewport to offset this. So I'll click on offset. I'll give an offset distance of 10 because that is a slab thickness. Select object offset, site offset. In fact, my idea is to create a close profile here to extrude it. So I should construct some lines, then perform some trimming to make it a close profile. So I'll go to Polyline again, click over here, just make a click here, then one more. Okay, then I extend this particular line towards this line. So I'll go to extend command. Okay, then I'll perform trimming. Now I can go to join operation to convert this into a single profile. You can type the letter J for join if you give it as a command. Okay, now it's a single profile. Next, I'll mirror this line as well as these points on the other side. Okay, so that I'll be able to create a path along which this profile may be extruded. So I'll click on mirror and I'll select these 2 points as well as this profile. Okay, this is the first point on the mirror line, next point on the mirror line. I'll define the axis in the front viewport. Next, I'll draw a path. But before I draw a path, I should bring the UCS to the world. So I'll go to visualize, then I'll go to world. Now I'll draw a path using a polyline. So click on polyline. This is a first point, second point, third point I have got already here, or else you can just activate this viewport and you can click it here if you have any confusions. Then the next point I can click here. Next, I'll perform an extrusion. So I'll click on extrude. I'll select this profile, give an enter, go to path option, and I'll choose this particular path which I've created just now. So it is extruded. Now let's shade it and take a look. I'll switch over to single viewport configuration before that. Then you can go for a realistic shading. Now shift scroll wheel to orbit the model. Now we have some lines and points. In fact, you want to suppress the display of points. You can do that by going to DDP type again. Then I'll click here. This is a null representation, so the point, even if the point is there, it won't be displayed. Now these lines can be erased, okay, because we have used these lines for the construction purpose. And you can just erase it. So this is how you construct the protection for the sunshade. Next we will create the molding work at the bottom of the sloped parapet which we have created, as well as at the bottom of this particular roof which we have created to protect the balcony. And when you analyze the dimensions, you can see that this is 7 and this horizontal distance is 5, then vertically 7, then horizontal 5. Similarly, we also have a projection on the top of this sloped parapet which is 3, 3 and 3. But I'll just slightly exaggerate it to 5, 5, 5 to make it more visible. Okay, so let me just go back to the 3D file and I'll unisolate all the layers to bring all the layers back to the screen. So I'll just click on unisolate button over here. Then I'll align the UCS with the front face. So I'll go to Visualize tab, then I'll select Front. Next, I'll draw a polyline profile. So I'll go to Home tab, then I'll click on Polyline and I'll click over here. Now presently the snap is on, that is actually not required. So I'll just turn off the snap and then I'll give 7, 5, 7, then 5, then 14 up, and I'll close it. Then I'll just take a copy of this because you need the same profile for the balcony area. Then I'll draw a path along which it is to be extruded. So obviously the XY plane should align with the base before I create a path. So I'll go to Visualize and I'll go to World to bring it back to the base. Then I'll go to Polyline and I'll start from here. I'll just click on all the points at the bottom of the roof. Now I'll give a close. Okay. Next I'll extrude this profile. So I'll go to extrude, select this profile. When you're asked to select the path, okay, go to path option and you can just click on the path. So we have created the molding work at the bottom. Okay, next we have to do the same activity for this particular area of the roof. So I'll go to move command and I'll select the profile which I've created just now. Okay, then you move it and keep it right here. Then you draw a polyline path. Okay, like this. And if you have any difficulty to identify this point, you can just change your view. Shift scroll wheel you can press. So in this view that corner is clear, you can just pick the point. Okay. Now you can extrude it. So I'll click on extrude, select this profile and go to path option and select this path. So even that is extruded. Now you can just go for a shaded representation. Now when you look at the surface of the roof, you can make out a line. This line is nothing but the molding work that is passing through this roof. In fact, from this area, you can remove that molding work. For that, I'll perform a slice operation. So I'll switch over to wireframe representation. Then I'll click on slice, or else you can give slice command using the keyboard. Then it will ask you to select the object to be sliced, which is this particular molding. Then give an enter. It will ask you to define a plane, a slice plane. When you look at the UCS, you can see that the slice plane is parallel to the existing YZ plane. So you can use the YZ option. Then it will ask you to specify a point through which the slice plane actually passes. Now I can pick that point here. Then it will ask you, do you want to retain both sides? So the both sides are retained and you can see a cut here. Again, I'll give one more slice. Select the object to be sliced. Slice plane is YZ and a point on the YZ plane I'm going to select by after orbiting it, because then only I'll be able to see that point clearly, which is this particular point. Then just give an enter. Now you can see that you have performed a slice and this portion can be easily erased. Now when you perform a shading, you won't see that line. Next I'll create another molding on top. So I'll align the UCS with the front face. Then I'll keep the layer of 3D molding as the current layer. I'll start a polyline from this endpoint, 10 units up, then 10 units leftward, then 5, 5, 5 and close. Okay, now I'll just move it in such a way that this endpoint coincides with this endpoint. Okay, next I'll draw a path along which it has to be extruded. So align the UCS with the base. I'll go to visualize, world, now polyline to specify the path. From here it starts and I'll pick all the endpoints. And close. Next, extrude, select the profile, go to path option. When you're asked to select the path, type L. L stands for last. Now we have completed the molding work on the top of the roof. Next, we have to attach two gables symmetrically. When you just look at the elevation, you can see the positions of these gables. It is right above the window and it aligns with the vertical axis of the window. We have already discussed the procedure to create this decorative gable in the previous video. So please go through that video if you need any clarifications on the procedure to create this. Anyway, I have created this gable already, and this gable is provided along with this video. When you just try it, you can make use of this gable, or else you can make a gable right from the scratch using the procedure which was explained already. Next, I'll insert this gable. I have already placed the base point of this drawing over here at this midpoint using the base command. So if you're not familiar with the base command, I'll explain what base command is all about. When you give base command and just give an enter, it will ask you for a base point. I'll select this midpoint as a base point. So the base point of the drawing by default is at the origin. Using the base command, you can re-specify it at any desired location. Once you specify it and when you save the file, after that when you insert this drawing in any other drawing, you will be inserting that particular drawing using that point as the base point. Anyway, let's go for insertion. So I'll go to insert and I'll click on insert. I'll ask you for a block name and I'll just go to browse and I have to select that particular gable, which is this drawing, and I'll open it. And you can see the gable here, and you should place it in such a way that it aligns with the vertical axis of the window. So I'll use point filters to specify the base point. So I just shift right click, point filters, dot X off. I'll choose this midpoint of the window. Then it'll ask you for a Y and Z coordinate. Y and Z can be extracted from this endpoint. Okay, now it is precisely inserted. If you need any clarifications on point filters, you can refer my video on point filters in my channel. Next, I should mirror this onto the other side. In order to mirror it precisely, you can switch over to the top view. So I'll go to top view, okay. Then I'll change the representation to wireframe. Then I'll give mirror command, and this is the object to be mirrored. And you can choose this point as the base point. Then second point, I'll just pick a point right on top and give an enter. Now it's precisely mirrored. Now we have already saved a view using the view command, so I'm going to restore it. So click on visualize and click on view manager and you select this particular view one which was already saved. So in AutoCAD you can save any view using the view command. If you need any clarifications on view command, please refer my video in my channel related with the view command. I have already provided the link underneath this video. Now I select this view one and I'll click on set current and I'll click on apply and OK. Now we have got the right perspective view. So this is how you construct the roof on top of this double-storied residence. So in the process of creating this roof on top, we have learned some interesting theory and concepts while doing this procedure. Just make a try. I'm sure that you will enjoy doing it. All the best.